Oh
Oh.
my God. Technology is a thing, you guys.
He's cranky.
Yeah, it's just a pain in the you know what today. Sorry
Yep.
about that.
All good.
It's just
Um,
yeah, I don't know what happened. Our link was fine and everything was fine and then it wasn't fine. I don't know.
yeah. I think this is where we were. Was it Varnish?
We were at Varnish.
Okay.
Yes. Correct. But there's only 3 people here, so give them just a minute.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hi Santa. Hi Ellen.
Hi, Santa.
Sorry everybody. Yeah, let's just give it a minute and
Yeah.
see who wants to come back because we had the Varnish question. We had a few other questions and I was trying to keep up with questions, so stop motion. Hi, it's my first time here. I
Mhm.
am so sorry we had technical problems on your first time
Mhm.
here.
Hey Donna, look what my breakfast is.
Cake! I love cake for breakfast. I do that the whole
Mhm.
week of my birthday. I eat
Mhm.
cake for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Nixie is like, take 2. Yes, this is correct. Take 2. I'm so sorry, you guys. I don't know what happened, but we just whoosh, disappeared.
We
So,
froze like Elsa.
technology is great until it doesn't work.
Mhm.
So, Ellen, stop laughing at the cake.
Thank you,
Okay.
Ellen, for getting that.
I do not know what happened. I think are just some, we just get glitches. So, oh, Erica's here. Hi,
Hi, Erica.
She's in Montreal. Oh, yeah. I eat cake for breakfast every day of my birthday week. That's what I do.
Mhm.
I want cake now, even though it's 5 a.m. Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's 9:30 here. It's not typically an appropriate time for cake, but it is.
Okay, 24/7 is not. I mean, you can have cake anytime. I mean, cake
Mhm.
is fine as long as you have
Mhm.
the appropriate cup of tea to go with the cake. That's fine.
I've got tea, I have Red Bull, I have water. I am
You can have whatever you want. I just have 2
caffeinated and
cups of tea.
hydrated
Oh,
today.
that reminds me. Hold on, we're going to cup 2 now. One moment, please. Donna has to go to cup 2.
Cheers.
We're going to the big cups. Okay. Is Scott
Cheers.
feeling better? Yes. Cheers. He is feeling better. He's very slow. What flavor is the cake?
I don't know. I got it at Publix last night, but it's amazing. It's chocolate, and then
Oh,
it has 2 layers of cream in it, and then a layer of caramel something. It's
they make the best cakes there. Oh my gosh, they make the best cakes. Santa says
yeah.
cake is almost as good as cookies.
I figured
Correct.
Santa would appreciate that. Yep.
I red velvet cake is the best. You know what? Not a popular opinion, but I don't like red velvet cake.
Mm.
Sorry.
Mm.
I'm a chocolate cake kind of girl, and I'm not only just I'm chocolate cake with raspberry filling, and I want the jam, raspberry jam, and then I want chocolate buttercream frosting, and then I want those big roses on the top, like you've seen me eat those. The frosting roses, the big frosting roses. Oh, those are my like. I could just sit there and eat a bucket of frosting.
Is there a cat hair in my cake? Yes.
Okay. You know what? I miss having dog hair in my food. I miss that. Believe me. Trust me.
Yeah. I saw a question go by of how many paintings do I have in the works right now?
Yes.
So I did just finish one. Like I just got its varnish coat.
Don't lie to us.
Yeah. So there's one that's done. So this one's about to be shipped to the client.
It's beautiful.
Thanks. So that one's done. In progress. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Hang on.
You guys did ask. Keep in mind,
14, 15. We'll say 15 in progress, not counting the ones that have gone to my own version of a corner of shame. But yeah.
Ellen's laughing at my eyebrows. That's so funny. Hey, while we have Fiber and Brimstone here, okay, so I'm gonna just I should have brought the stickers down. Fiber and Brimstone's got a website, and she made these adorable coffee stickers. Just go to fiberandbrimstone.com and check out her stickers. I got 4 sets of stickers yesterday, and she is not happy with the quality of the stickers because all of you artists are a little more on the perfectionist side. And but I love them. I think they're super cool, and I can't wait to use them in my journals. I actually used one last night in my writing journal. So there you go.
They're very
Bethany,
cute.
which one of those is your favorite painting?
Um,
And keep it clean, please.
yes, some paintings are not in the room right now because they contain nudity, and we're keeping it G-rated this morning.
Correct.
And it's artistic nudity, but still, they are not in the room. This one is the current favorite that I'm working on. This is actually going to be a portrait of my daughter, and one of our other cats, Bob Ross.
Bob Ross is interesting.
I made a mistake when I named him.
He's not super friendly.
No, the real life Bob Ross was a kind, gentle, caring, loving soul. He was a precious human being, a gem of a person. And this cat is the spawn of Satan.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So he loves my daughter, but he hates me. Yeah. So this is the current painting I'm working on.
Autumn says, "Yay, fellow ADHD brain, I see you." Felix thinks we're beautiful. We're going to take that this morning.
Thank you, Felix. I love you.
Steffner says the stickers look very pretty. The stickers are beautiful. I love the stickers. And Mark is here. Mark, for those of you who don't know.
The wood burning Mark?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Mark.
Mark made me a beautiful plaque of Arwen, and from the very, very bottom depths of my heart and all of my heart, I have to thank you, because it is the most beautiful plaque of her. It looks exactly like her. Both of my boys
got her likeness, which is hard.
Both of my boys said it looks exactly like her mom, and it resides in my office on the mantle of the little electric fireplace across from my desk, so I can see it every single day.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I love
perfection.
It. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Do we like ice cream cake?
Yes.
Anything with the word cake in it is usually pretty good for me. I mean, I don't have a problem with that.
I like cake.
I have talked with a whole lot of people all over the U.S. planet and have not heard of Publix until today. Publix started in Florida. It is a Florida grocery store, and it has moved up through Georgia and the Carolinas and up here by us. And it's a great grocery store. It's very, very, I don't know, their bakery's good, their deli's good. It's a good grocery store. Anyway, do your customers generally need to wait the 6 months for the art to dry? Genuinely curious.
Yes, they do. And that's something that they know up front.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. That when they order it, they're probably not getting it for 9 months, because it's going to take me 2 or 3 months to paint it. And of course, they send me photo references, because say, like, for this one, they sent me 2 pictures. One, they liked the pose, but the actual there was a filter on the photo, so the coloring of the fur wasn't correct. So they sent me a different picture so I could get the coloring correct. But then it was a picture that just been taken in their bed, and instead of their bedroom wall, they wanted kind of a galaxy sky, and then we put the constellation for Canis Major in the background.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah. And so, but it was a lot of talking about it beforehand, figuring out what we were going to do. I made a sketch, sent them the sketch, made sure they were cool with it, then started painting. And then once it's totally dry, and there's a couple different ways you can test it to know if it's dry. One's the fingernail test, like you try to press your fingernail down into it. If you don't see a dent, then it's typically dry.
So like fingernail polish.
Yes. But then, then also if you take a Q-tip, cotton swab, and take the mineral spirits, the paint thinner, and rub it on it, if it is still the least bit wet, you're going to pull paint back off. Once it's fully dried and cured, it won't come off, and it'll stay there. So then you know that you're dry all the way through. Yeah.
And then you put the fixative over it. Once it's fully dry, you put the fixative over it?
Then I put the varnish over it, yes.
Varnish, I'm sorry. Varnish.
No, you're fine.
So it's not called fixative when it's oil, it's called varnish.
Yes, so when dry medium stuff, it's fixative. And so you're just fixing the graphite in place.
Right.
So for oil, use varnish. Acrylic too. You can use varnish on acrylic. So I have so many, and there's more over there, because there's different finishes. So, you know how a
Mhm.
lot of people like a high gloss or a semi gloss or a
Mhm.
satin or a matte. That's why there's so many, because there's different finishes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
So
like,
wait, I have another question.
uh-huh.
Is oil typically when you paint with it, does it have any
Mhm.
sheen to it at all?
Yes, it usually has a shiny sheen. If you can
Oh,
add things to it to make it shinier, in fact, when you add this to it, it's going to make it a little shinier.
oh.
If you use a lot more of the mineral spirits, it's going to make it a little bit more dull. If you're painting just the
Oh.
straight oil and no medium,
Mhm. Oh,
which
wait. Okay.
is going to take a while,
Okay.
then that's going to be a little shinier. But yeah, you can adjust your sheen with this.
I'll be doggone. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Um,
all of these offer UV protection. So it's going to protect your painting not only from sunlight and everything else, it's also going to protect it from dust and dirt. And if you go in old churches, when you watch like painting restoration videos, and they're like
mhm.
just scrubbing the stuff, and you're seeing these layers of brown and gray like come off. That, for the most part, that's incense smoke, that's candle smoke. Once upon a time, everyone could smoke in church. That's a whole lot of cigarette smoke. It's also a lot of dust and spider poop. The amount of spider poop on paintings is unreal. But yeah,
Huh?
so you're able to scrub all that off of the surface and of the varnish, and your painting underneath is still protected. So that's why we use varnish.
I'll be doggone. Look at that.
Hmm.
Huh.
Varnish is my friend.
Okay. So Derek asks Bethany, is there a really big difference between acrylics and oil paints?
Very. Um, so I kind of did a headfirst dive in on oil paint, like went from acrylic to oil, baptism by fire. There are now water mixable oils. Ellen Fiber and Brimstone has been using them.
Oh,
I have not yet. Like, I accidentally bought a couple tubes of them, but I haven't bought any more because I already have all my other oils. Like, I've invested in so much of the process. I see Mrs. Claus. Um,
no. Is Mrs. Claus here
she
too?
is. Yep. So I've already invested so much in the oil paints and all the mediums that go with them. I don't really want to start over again.
Yeah.
And I know how
Yeah.
they work, but oil is very different from acrylic. But when I was very first trying to work with it, I was trying to make it work like acrylic. And so I was fighting it. I was getting
Okay.
so frustrated with it
Okay.
because I was trying to make it be acrylic. And then
Mm-hmm.
finally I was like, oh yeah, this is very, very different. And when I accepted it for what it was and started using it to its advantages, then I fell in love with it. Like, now
Okay.
oil is my baby. I love it.
So that's kind of like when Scott went from watercolor to gouache.
Hmm.
So the mediums are just it's a completely different
Totally
feel.
different.
It's a completely different prep time and prep
Hmm.
work.
Yeah.
Everything's different. So when you learn how to do something new and you start dabbling in it, maybe you figure out that this is something that you like or this is something that you don't like.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like
Interesting.
gouache. Yeah. Gouache is what I typically say is my second paint medium.
Hmm.
I have tried for
Hmm.
25 years to be a watercolor artist. And I accepted last year or so that I am not a watercolor artist. Um, I love the look of it. I
Hmm.
wish I could do it, but it is so, so, so different from
Hmm.
this that when I try to switch between the two, brain glitch so bad, and
Yeah.
it does not work. So gouache is just a little bit more similar of to oil, of being that I can start with midtones and work towards my and then push the values in either
Okay.
direction. With it being more opaque, then
Okay.
I can layer without it turning into mud.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because I like
Interesting.
layers.
So would you say then that what's okay, I'm gonna go crazy on questions, but let me ask some of the other people's questions because I have so many questions in my head now.
Yes.
Um, Ellen says water mixable oils are great if you're in a small space and don't have the ventilation needed for all the chemicals, but they're
Hmm.
just like real oils. So
Yeah.
we have Santa and Mrs. Claus here. Mwah, mwah, mwah. We love you, friends. Um, and we have a tip from Fan of Many Legends. Send us a tip. Thank
I'm
you for
glad we
being
were
here with us.
entertaining.
Wow. Have you got frames for the oil paints or do you have ones that you like?
I don't ever really frame my oil paints or my oil paintings. I stick with this. Now, I also have a tutorial on how I do my mounting on the back. So before I
Mhm.
ever start painting, I go ahead and, of course, I prime my canvas and whatnot. And then I go ahead and add my mounting hardware. And then I'll also put these little rubber bumpers on the back. So that way,
Mhm.
once the painting's done, I can
Mhm.
hang it up and get it out of the way to dry. And because I have to flip it face down in order to attach this, and I can't do that when
Oh,
this is soaking wet.
that's
And
really
so,
smart.
yeah, so I go ahead and add that
You
on the
add
back
hardware before you ever even paint it.
before I ever
Does
start.
Okay, so but when you add the hardware, does that do anything when you put it on the easel? Does it
No,
make it
not at all.
uneven? Does it make it Okay.
I really like these sawtooth brackets here. I've tried a million of them. These are called Hangs, Hanz, and they
Oh,
hang inset. You know how like most sawtooth hangers, they go across
yes.
here, and yes. So these hang inset. I don't know if
Oh,
I can.
that's clever.
Yeah. So it's in there, so it's not going to like dent into your wall, and you
Okay.
can hang it so it stays flush
Flush
without
with the wall.
tilting out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's nice.
yeah.
Very cool.
I'm a big fan.
Now, but if you're not going to frame it, you do need to paint the sides of the canvas, correct?
Yes, I always paint the sides. Now this painting is unfinished, so these sides are not finished. But
They
yes,
look
I
finished
always
to me, but hey, who
mm,
am I?
yeah, yeah. Right now they just have like a coat on them, but I'll go through, and sometimes I will wrap the painting all the way around. Um,
Oh,
let's see.
nice.
Let me yank a painting off the wall real quick.
Happy
Um,
Christmas in July to you, Santa.
so say okay, ocean painting.
Yes.
So this one, I carried the wave around to the side and the sky. Like I carried the painting all the way around. Sometimes
That's really cool.
yeah. Sometimes I do
Okay.
that. Sometimes I just paint the edges like a solid color, maybe like a
Gotcha.
color that complements with it or solid black, but I always
Okay.
paint the edges. It just gives it a much more finished, clean look without having to frame.
Okay. Can I ask you another question though?
Of course.
If you're going to frame it, do you have to
Mhm.
paint the edges?
You don't have to. No, I
Okay.
would still carry it around a little bit because
Okay.
you're
Just
still going to see a bit of the
okay.
edge around the frame.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we answered the hook question. Okay,
Mhm.
there's about 9 million people who want to know what lipstick I'm wearing. You guys are so funny.
It's a
Okay,
great color.
so it's a blend of colors. It's years ago I learned that lipsticks can leach into your skin. So there's a company called Color Organics, COLOR, and then Organics, and they have hemp based lipsticks and lip liners. The lip liner is called Chestnut, and the lipstick is Rose Quartz. That's what it is.
It's very
So
pretty.
there you go. I will link it in my community page. How's that? I will go and I will put the links on the community. You guys are so funny. Do alcohol markers blend good on Strathmore toned paper? Okay, since Scott's not here today,
Not really.
you're gonna get the Donna and Bethany version of it. I
um,
have seen Scott use a lot of papers over the years, and in my most humble opinion, the Ohuhu sketchbooks, the Ohuhu marker books,
mhm.
I think, I think are the best ones for markers.
Yeah.
I think the paper is great quality. I think the sleeve that you put in between the papers is good. You can tear them out. They're perforated, so you can either keep them in your sketchbook or take them out of your sketchbook.
Mhm.
That's my 2 cents, but I will let you go for it.
Well, in any if you're using a toned paper and then trying to use alcohol markers on top of that,
Mhm.
think of like you're printing something off of your home printer. If you're running it through white paper, anything you print on it, it's going to
Mhm.
be like easy to see. You're going to be able to see it fine. If you
Mhm.
run a colored paper, if you put a blue paper in your printer and then try to print on that, you're
Mhm.
going to lose your whites. You're going to lose all of those
Mhm.
things. So alcohol
Mhm.
markers are just going to like bleh. You're not going to you're going to lose all your color.
Mhm. That's a
Um,
technical term, by the way. That's technical.
Yes. Yeah. Now, an acrylic marker would work on a toned paper, but there's also no need for it. Like I wouldn't
Mhm.
waste acrylic markers on toned paper.
Mm-mm. Well,
Yeah.
they're also really thick, and a lot of times, all the ones I've seen Scott use, you have to press down on them
Hmm.
to get
Paint flowing.
to get it to
Hmm.
flow, and it's not. Yeah,
Yeah.
Brazen says I love the Be Creative paper pads.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's good paper.
that's Scott's favorite. I mean,
Yeah.
but we all know my favorite is Archer and Olive paper.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
It's all good. So, Sienna says, I love all your technical terms. I know we're so technical, right?
So many technical terms. Yeah.
Jaden wants to know, how am I able to find good quality art supplies without spending too much money?
Start small. Like, you don't need to start by buying all of these paints.
No.
Like, and that's a double wall. Like, it spins. There are so many paints back there. You don't need to start with that many. Start with a basic color set. You don't need an orange. Get a red and a yellow. You don't need a green. Get, throw in a blue. You can mix your primary colors from there. Get a black or a Payne's gray. Get a white. Get a big tube of white. You're going to use so much titanium white. Get things like your earth tones, your raw umber, a raw sienna, burnt sienna, things like that. So start small. You might even want to start with just black and white or raw umber and white, and working monochrome first, then going from there. Don't start with all of.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
You have big, giant tubes of. I can't even get my fingers into the. You have very large tubes of paint. If someone wanted to start with oils, can you recommend what they should start with? As far as supplies go? And are there reasonably priced oils? I mean, I know this is like, oils are, a lot, but are there smaller tubes? Are there sets they can buy? I really love the canvas paper. I had no clue there was canvas paper. That's a nice place to start.
Yes. So there are, so Winsor & Newton, I'm a big fan of. Love Winsor & Newton. I typically buy big tubes because I use a lot of paint, because I paint on big canvases. You can even see a couple of the ones back there. They're as tall as I am. Like, they're really, really big.
Right.
So I buy big tubes just so it's more cost effective. So this is made by Winsor & Newton. This is called Winton. They make smaller tubes of this, and this is a great line to start with. Kind of like Winsor & Newton watercolor has their professional line, and then they have the Cotman line. Cotman is great. Cotman's perfectly fine. So this is the Cotman version of oil, called Winton. So this is a great line to start with. Then they have their professional line here. So I love this. Absolutely love this. Don't start with this. Start with this here. Figure it out. Like, you're going to, the first however many paintings you do, you're going to paint over. And that's fine. There are no wasted art supplies. Even if you paint something and you hate it, the art supplies are not wasted. The only art supplies wasted are ones that sit in a drawer and are not used. So,
yay! Sorry.
Yes.
Was that out loud?
So I love, this is a great line to start with. In college,
and it's called Winton by Winsor & Newton.
Yes.
Now, where are people going to find that?
Michaels has this. Plaza has this. Blick has this.
Michaels has it. So if you're in the States, you can. And do they ever? Does that ever go on sale?
Sometimes, yeah. Every once in a while.
Can you use coupons with it? Maybe.
Yes, you can.
Okay,
you absolutely can. This is what I started with in college, Gamblin'. This is a great line, and I love it. Oh, hi. Someone wasn't getting enough attention. I love this. I did not know enough to appreciate this in college. This is a professional line, but this is what our professors had to start with. It is wonderful, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend starting with this. It is way more expensive if you're starting with this. This is Gamblin'. Love this line, but I wouldn't start with this. Now, the paint that I use now, and I'm still using up like my Winton stuff. Now, when I'm replacing tubes that are completely empty, then I do use the professional line, or I use Sennelier. This little tube is more expensive than this big tube.
Oh, the Sennelier. That's the stuff from France that's the ridiculously expensive, like $4,000 for a tube of paint. I'm joking. It's not that much money, but it is expensive.
This tube here was $16, $18 for I mean, this is a sizable tube that will last years and years and years. This tube was $40.
Yeah. But that's the difference. So now someone asked,
I couldn't have appreciated this before.
Have you done your own light fastness test like Scott did with the different watercolors and the markers? Have you done a light fastness test with oils, or is that even necessary with oils?
I haven't done one because all these companies have done it for me.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons why, say, like, remember when Scott added the Hemi to that?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
Hemi doesn't have a light fastness rating
Nope.
published,
Nope. 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 Nope.
which is kind of a bad sign. If something does not have a
Mhm.
light
Yeah.
fastness rating published, then it's not going to last long. Crayola, they're going to fade right off the paper.
We saw
Um,
Crayola.
mhm,
Yeah.
they're not going to stick around. The
They're
things
good
like
for
this,
what you use them for when you buy the
yes,
beginner stuff. But if you
yes,
want something to last longer, and also
yes,
don't you think too, because oils have been around for so long that of course they've done the light fastness test, but
yes,
things like acrylic markers are fairly new to the art world.
hmm,
Oils have been around for thousands of years,
yeah,
but acrylic markers are fairly
hmm,
new, so they haven't done any of those testing with it because they never, thought, oh, people would like to use this long
hmm,
term or
hmm.
something.
And
So
alcohol markers fade right off the page.
they do.
Like, they're
They do.
not light fast, and I hate that
Yeah.
because they're fun to use. They're a really
Hmm.
fun medium. They
Hmm.
don't survive.
No, they don't. It's
No.
it's interesting too because there are actually notes on some of the fountain pen inks, and I know I'm
Mhm.
kind of switching, but it's like different, just a different medium.
Mhm.
That if not to leave certain things, like the ones that have a really high sheen, don't
Mhm.
leave these in the sun because they'll fade. Don't even
Mhm.
leave the bottle of ink in the
Mhm.
sun because they'll fade.
Yeah.
And that I found interesting, and
Mhm.
that was just by random discovery. And you're like,
Mhm.
huh, that's
That's why
kind of
so
cool.
many ink bottles are packaged in dark bottles to
Dark
protect them,
bottles.
yeah, from the
Oh,
sunlight.
that's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So blah,
Oh,
blah,
another girl.
blah. We have
I
so
saw a question asking if I have a cat tutorial. I don't yet, but that is on the list.
mhm.
These are the planned videos upcoming of
So many
tutorials
videos.
and stuff. So
Hmm.
yes, so cats and dogs and animals in general, like animal hair and all that, are planned.
Yeah, and Santa says thanks to Steph and Nixia. You guys are the MVPs today. Thank you for
Rock stars.
corralling the chaos that is
Hmm.
today.
Yes.
We greatly appreciate it, and
Love you
thanks for
both.
putting up with the technical difficulties that we have had this morning. Um, are the tubes of oil paint cheaper than the glass containers of it?
I've never used the glass containers of it. That's a good question. I can't name a store I've been in that even carries glass containers of oil.
Hmm.
Yeah. I would think
I've
the
never
top, if
seen
it's in a glass container, I would think the top would glaze over and dry out.
I've
Yeah.
never seen paint, and I've been in a lot of art stores across this country, and I've
Yeah.
never seen paint in a glass container.
Yeah.
Oil paint, watercolors I've seen in little,
Mhm.
I mean, mostly inks
Yeah.
and things that are much more water soluble.
Yeah.
I've seen in glass containers.
I just saw, do I have
Um,
any pets? Yes. This is
that
one
is one
monster.
of five.
Yes.
Picasso is one of five.
Yes.
Really, Archer Naldo, I never would have guessed it. Yeah, Archer Naldo, you're funny. Um, Okay, so I'm going to suggest to you a
Mhm.
video of beginner oil supplies because I think a lot of people here would like to try oils, and
You
I think
mean the list right here?
yeah, there you go. So there you go. That's good. Because I think it's interesting because you come on
Mhm.
and you watch Scott and you see how he has his um travel journal,
Mhm.
and he can take this little case with him, but that's not the way it works with oils.
It's not.
So
No.
I'm going to ask, what do you do when you go places like Venice
Venice.
and you decide you want to do some oil paints and you're, say, bringing a sketchbook to Venice,
Yeah.
but you don't necessarily feel like you want to sketch, you'd rather go home and do oil paints. How do you address that?
So I wanted, when we went to Venice in October, which was so amazing, like perfection. Um, I wanted to
Yeah, it
bring my
was,
oils so bad, like so
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
But I was already overpacking as it was, and
She did. She's so overpacked. It was
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah, I very much overpacked. And so
Mhm.
I accepted that I can't bring oils too. There's no way.
Mm-mm.
And so I knew I brought gouache and I painted in gouache while I was there. So that was good. For the most part, I did sketching, and Ellen can attest because Fiber and Brimstone, she went to Venice
Mhm.
a few months after we did.
Correct.
There is so much to see. There are so
Yeah.
many stunning you look at one scene, like you cross a bridge and you're like, oh my God, that
Oh,
canal.
it's ridiculous.
That's the most
Ridiculous.
beautiful scene I've ever seen in my life.
Mhm.
And then you round
Yeah.
the corner and you're like, nope, that's the most beautiful scene I've ever seen in my life. Round
Exactly.
another corner. Nope,
Yep.
I'm wrong again. Like
Yep.
everywhere you look is so
Yeah.
just mind-blowingly beautiful.
Mhm.
It's too much to take in and try to capture right there on the spot. So I did a lot of sketching. I did some painting. For the most
Mhm.
part, I took a million pictures, like
Mhm.
because I knew like now is my chance to get my reference. And so
Mhm.
I just took a billion pictures and so came home. I'm just now starting on my oil paintings from Venice.
Mhm.
So I just got
And
the
it's
canvas
been
going
9
since
months.
October. Yeah.
Yeah, 9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wish I'd started on a bit faster, but I just went through the
So
pictures not that long ago
so
and chose
did
them.
you do anything and I know you had a sketchbook because that was there,
Hmm.
but did you do anything? Did you make any notes about places that you might have wanted to do bigger paintings when you got home?
Yes, I knew that I didn't care to do um, the big like. I don't care to paint a scene of San Marcos Square. I
Mhm.
don't care to paint like just the big long like monstrosity of Doge's palace or
Right.
basilica, things like that. I like the smaller scenes. So say like
Mhm.
the small little canal or this like one smaller shot of the Bridge of Sighs or
Right.
things like that.
Right. Or like a
So
little back alleyway or
yes.
something.
Yeah.
Did you make any notes of that? I'm just trying to kind of give people an idea like oils are not
Mhm,
something you're going to pack up and travel with.
mm-mm. Not unless you're
So,
doing an extended thing like that you could be somewhere for months, really.
what's your
Um
favorite color? Tell everybody real quick.
That's the thing. It depends on what we're talking about. Like for my hair, purple. For my
Yeah.
walls, gray. To wear, typically black. Um,
Yeah.
it yeah. It
Actually,
depends.
black.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're a little older than a lot of you, so black makes us look better.
Hmm. Yes, yes. Yeah. It hides
Ruby
the pet
says,
fur a little better.
I'm
So
picturing it's a travel journal, but a 3 foot tall canvas.
yes, and I had a friend in college, and I wanted to take this class, and I wasn't able to work in my schedule. That she did a study abroad in Italy. Um,
Wow.
Yeah, and she pretty much was only able to work on like two paintings while she was there. She was in Florence. She was there for 3 months, but she had
Wow.
to use the liquid to try to like speed up the drawing, and then she
Hmm.
had to take the canvas off the stretchers. So the wooden bars in the back of canvases are called stretchers. So
Wow.
these are called stretcher bars. And so the bigger the canvas, you'll have ones that go like vertically and horizontally
Right,
as
right.
well. And so, but she had to,
Wow.
and this was before it was like the gallery wrap. So she had to pop the canvas all the way off and then
Ooh.
roll it up and travel with it in a tube because there was no way. She also had 5 foot canvases and there was no way to travel with them. And so you have to pop them off and then you get home and then you have to re-stretch them on canvas bars.
Okay, so we got to answer some other questions here because you and I have done a really good skew. Um,
We do that a lot.
we do. We don't travel with oils or oil paintings. We answered this one.
Hmm.
Okay, so basically they're asking what's the difference between gouache and oils?
Everything is the difference between them. Gouache is a lot more similar to watercolor. I call gouache watercolor's cousin. It
Hmm.
dries quickly like watercolor, water activated like watercolor. It's just more opaque. So you're going to
Hmm.
be able to layer more on it without it
Hmm.
getting muddy. Oils are not water activated. They're already activated. They're oily.
Hmm.
They take a very long time to dry. I can do a gouache painting in a couple hours.
Hmm.
This is I'm already months in on this one.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
Okay.
very, very, very different mediums.
Okay. So, is it safe to do a graphite transfer to outline a painting before applying the paint? And if it's good, would outlining the graphite in a micron pen help to keep the outline visible?
I've never tried a micron pen. Now, the video I published this morning,
Hmm.
like a couple hours ago, is exactly that process of drawing on a canvas and and kind of doing a preliminary sketch.
Hmm.
When I started in college, we were taught to draw with Vine charcoal because it erases off your canvas really easily if you're trying
Oh,
to. Yeah, so if you put a line, you're like, that's not where that goes. wipe it off very easy.
Oh,
The only problem is then when you start painting, your paint mixes in with that charcoal or your graphite or whatever it is and turns to
oh.
mud. Like you just,
Does
bleh.
it change the colors?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Oh,
So the process
okay.
I now use, and this is the video from this morning. So
Hmm.
when I am, once I get a good solid sketch, I have my sketch exactly how I want it.
Mhm,
Say for like this commission up here,
mhm.
I've got the sketch, like, okay, cool, got my proportions, got the details that I need in there. I do a light coat of workable fixative, so that just holds the graphite in place. Then I come back over it with a coat of clear gesso. So then it
Oh, wow.
seals everything in. It's not going to budge. And it's then I can paint directly over it and it's not going to turn my paint colors to mud. That's going to
Okay,
hold everything in place. So I've
okay,
never tried a micron, but it would I can't see why it wouldn't work.
okay. So now I'm gonna ask a question because you've
Hmm.
now explained like 14 steps before you've ever even put paint on the canvas.
Uh-huh.
So my question is, and I now keep in mind the only frame of reference I have for a painter is
Hmm.
my husband, who
Yes.
obviously is like short attention span theater and likes to finish things, except the larger, like the you know
Gothic vampire.
thank you, the Gothic vampire. Good Lord, where my brain is today. Anyway,
I got
what
you,
is
boo.
it? And even so, I mean, he was able to finish that in say a week and a half or so.
Hmm.
The longest time he's ever spent on a painting was like 4 months.
Yeah.
So,
Animal crackers poster.
correct. Bingo. So,
Hmm.
what is it about oils and the process of oils that you
Hmm.
fell in love with?
I love the luminosity of them, of
Mhm,
really being able to capture light coming through on things,
mhm,
to be able to render things to really look more 3D.
mhm,
Um, to be able to play around with it. Like I said, I'm not a great painter, but I'm a decent repainter. To
mhm,
get it on there and then go, it's not right. I want to like really develop the shadows in this, and
mhm,
yeah, just play around with it more, and to have a longer open time, which you can do to an extent with acrylics,
mhm.
but they dry so much faster, and so you don't have that longer
Oh,
open blending time.
okay.
I am also leery of acrylics. Reason being, you know how we were talking about alcohol markers, how they fade
Light
right off the page.
fastness. Right.
Yes, so acrylics are tested for light fastness, but they're not tested for longevity of time.
Lon- right.
Yes, acrylics weren't invented until the very like the late 1940s. They didn't
Right.
become widely circulated until the 50s, 60s. We don't
Hmm.
have hundreds of years of
Correct.
knowledge of how are they going to hold up over time.
Right.
There are oil paintings that are hundreds and hundreds of years old. Same with watercolor. You know, there's
Oh,
plenty of
thousands of years old.
yes.
Yeah.
Like go
Yeah.
in any museum and there are really, really, really old watercolor and oil paintings.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't know with acrylics. Like it might be fine,
Exactly.
but we don't
Well,
know.
they're still, the interesting thing is they're still unearthing things at Pompeii, even
Mhm.
that have been buried under layers and layers and layers of ash. And because of the mediums they used back then, there's
Mhm.
still these
They
beautiful art
survived.
pieces and mosaics. And
Yeah.
yeah, and so acrylics just don't have um, that
Yeah, they don't have the
longevity.
history. Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, they
And if I'm
don't.
painting something, especially for a client, that
Mhm.
it's a picture of their child, their pet, whatever, and
Mhm.
they want to keep it for their lifetime and then give it to
Yeah.
their children or whatever it is, I want to
Right.
ensure that their client is going their painting is going to last and it's not
Mhm.
going to peel off
Correct.
the canvas.
Correct. I got you.
Mhm.
Let's just answer. Scott is doing much better, but he is not 100% today. So we wanted to kind of come back and add a little continuity to our weeks because we've missed being with all of you. So I'm here
Missed
today,
y'all.
and because you guys over the last, I don't know, 2 years, as we've done all of these different mediums, you've had questions about oils. So I am here with our resident oil painter, Bethany Primrose, today, and we are answering questions about oil painting because,
Mhm.
well, I don't paint with oils and Scott doesn't paint with oils. So here we are. Have
Yes.
you, we have asked if Bethany has tried the water soluble oils, and she
Mhm.
has not.
Yeah.
Fiber and Brimstone has tried those.
Yeah.
Let's see. I just started oil painting. I want a loose style of painting, but it somehow becomes a tight painting. Do you have any advice?
I struggle with that as well. I tend to be a very tight painter, and especially, and if I'm working on a portrait commission or something, then it's tight because the client wants the likeness of their beloved,
Mhm.
person, pet, whatever it
Mhm.
is. When I'm not working for a client, I can loosen up a little bit.
Mhm.
But sometimes I have to walk away, and because I'll find I just like zero in, and I'm working so tight and so precise, and
Mhm.
I have to walk away and go
Mhm.
like kind of shake it out and
Mhm.
try to be a little more loose, be a little more painterly. But yeah, I struggle with that as well because I try to get so precise on anything that sometimes you forget to loosen up and let it look like paint.
Who is your favorite artist?
Oh, I love Artemisia Gentileschi.
Oh,
I
I
Yeah,
know.
I love Lucian Freud. Um, and some artists I don't like their style, like Margaret Keane. I don't like her style, but I love her story.
Mhm.
There's a lot of artists like that that their style may not be like my favorite, but they have such an
Mhm.
interesting story. Um, but yeah, that's a few. Lucian
So
Freud for his figurative work. It's beautiful. And that's a
so
great definition of a very loose painter that I wish I could be more like.
yeah, we do love our mods today.
They are heroes.
Is it true that flash photography ages paintings?
Yes. It is an artificial light that is very harsh. And especially, I mean, a random picture here and there with flash photography, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But if you go
Mhm.
somewhere like, MoMA or the Louvre or Sistine Chapel or something like that, that's why they say no flash photography. Because if you can imagine
Mhm.
that many thousands of strobes a day
Mhm.
hitting that
Would
is
destroy
just,
it.
yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
We have a question asking if the writer's strike is affecting Scott with his next movie. No, money is affecting Scott with his next movie.
Hmm.
Um, when we do our films, we are an independent production house. So we are not bound by the same rules. And if you look at the SAG AFTRA and the Writers Guild websites, they are striking against a specific group of people, and that is the studios.
Hmm.
So it does not affect independent productions. We can negotiate contracts separately and individually. And wow, I sound like I really know what I'm talking about, don't I?
Because you do.
So yeah, well, anyway, so that's that. But we may have some. We are still working on a lot of things and trying to get that moving forward. Let's see. Everybody's talking about time zones. Yes, Scott is taking a break. He has had some health issues that he is addressing and dealing with, and he is feeling better. But he is not here because he doesn't want to be here right now, and he needs to take care of himself. So,
Burnout is real,
um,
y'all.
yeah, you guys, mental health is a thing, and physical health is a thing. And if you don't have your health, either or, you don't have anything.
Hmm.
So, we're letting him take 5 minutes and just rest. And he's been doing lives and everything else since 2020
20.
when we
Hmm.
all went into lockdown, and he's a little burnt out. I mean, he's not a
Hmm.
little burnt out, he's a lot burnt out.
Yeah.
So, and he wants to feel the joy to paint again. And
Yeah.
so he's just taking some time to rest and feel better, and he's doing that a little bit at a time. But
Hmm.
thank you for asking, and thank you for caring about where he is. I appreciate that.
Hmm.
Does the
And
does the canvas paper need to be stretched?
yeah, no, and that's something that typically, if I'm using canvas paper, I'm using it for practice, preliminary studies, like that
Mhm.
sort of thing. Um, I think I've maybe framed one canvas paper thing. You can like people frame canvas paper all the time. I typically don't just because I'm using it for practice, but
Mhm.
you usually will just leave it on the pad or if you have something like an art board like this, you can
Mhm.
tape it down to that just to like hold it in its place. You're not really
Mhm.
going to be able to attach it to an easel well
Mhm.
unless you tape it down to something like this and then put it up on the easel.
Mhm.
But as far as official stretching, you don't have to.
Okay. Um, do you have any pieces in a museum, temporary or permanent?
Yeah. No,
Uh,
typically most of my paintings are either um, either things that I've done like for myself, like this painting will be for myself,
Mhm.
and then various others, like the ones that are on my wall over there, those are for myself, or
Mhm.
they're commissions. So the person that
Mhm.
commissioned them owns them.
Do you have any tips for capturing a likeness if you're drawing or painting a specific person or character?
Photo reference, photo reference, photo reference.
Mhm.
And every once in a while we get questions all the time of, is photo reference cheating? It is not. If you look up like Disney photo reference, Disney, like the
Mhm.
animators, they
Mhm.
use photo reference
Mhm.
for everything. When they were
Mhm.
making and
They do.
animating Alice in Wonderland, they
Mhm.
had a little girl come in this Alice in
Mhm.
Wonderland dress
Correct.
and reach up and crouch down and
Mhm.
all the poses so they could get her
Mhm.
reaching up to get whatever it was,
Yep.
crouching down to crawl through the hole. They needed her to take
Mhm.
pictures of so that they could use that reference in order to illustrate from.
Mhm.
I worked at a poster shop called Hat Show Print for a while, and famous poster shop. It's an amazing place.
Yeah.
We got to collaborate with Disney Pixar for a
Mhm.
project. We were making promotional posters for them for Finding Nemo. And when they contacted us, they're like, "Hey, we want to make these posters. They're going to be gifts for whatever."
Mhm.
And the photo reference packet they sent us was monstrous. Not of just, here's Nemo, here's our version of a
Mhm.
clownfish, here's all of the hundreds of pictures of clownfish, of real clownfish that we sourced from. Like, we got this pose from this photo.
Yep.
Real artists use photo reference. Otherwise, your
Mhm.
brain is trying to make up details that you don't know what they are. And that's
Mhm.
when you're going to get wonky things. So,
Mhm.
yeah, look at your photo reference.
When Tony Bancroft was doing Mulan, and when he was doing The Lion King, and various other things that he had done,
Hmm.
they actually sent them to zoos. They sent them to China. They sent them to Africa. I mean, not Disney,
Hmm.
of course, has an unlimited budget, so they can send their animators there.
Yeah.
But they go there specifically to
Hmm.
draw and learn the flow of how
Hmm.
things work and how the animals look and how things are, so they can
Hmm.
draw them realistically,
Yeah.
as realistic as you're going to get for a cartoon situation. Photo
Yeah.
reference is everything. I mean, you guys, you're going to go to the Sistine Chapel. They used photo reference.
Hmm.
It's not cheating to use photo reference. None of this
Yeah.
is cheating.
No. And if you can't
So,
find the photo reference you want, make it. That's when
mhm,
I borrow friends. I'm like, hey, need you to pose, face this way, tilt your head up. Like, I get them to
mhm,
pose. I'll put a cape on them. I'll put whatever
mhm.
costume thing it is on
Yep.
them. Hold your arm up, hold this.
Mhm.
Like,
I've worn a cape.
yes, yep. Yeah.
We own a cape. So there you
Same.
go.
Yep. Got a few in the
Plenty.
closet.
Yeah, got plenty of those. Yep, got plenty of those.
Yeah. So whatever the props are, if you need someone holding a particular whatever, put that item in their hand, and take a picture
Oh,
of it.
here's our favorite. Bethany, is tracing an image to capture a likeness considered cheating?
No, it's not cheating. However, I will add this asterisk on it. You're going to, yes, trace to start out. So you can make sure, yes, I've got the jawline right.
Mhm.
The nose is where it needs to go, but also try drawing it on your own. If you rely on tracing, which is fine to do periodically, especially if it's, for something you need it to be very tight, but
Mhm.
also try drawing it yourself. So when you're in a
Mhm.
position where you can't trace it, you get that muscle memory. You learn how to
Mhm.
make those brain hand
Mhm.
connections. So do both. I'm a big fan of doing all the things.
Okay, we've got some Canvas questions.
Hmm.
Do you recommend having a base coat before sketching out outlines in pencil for paintings in general? If so, how do I choose which color to use as the base?
I gesso all of mine, and actually, I've got a video on this too of how I prep my
Mhm.
canvases. So when I very
Canvas
first get a
prep.
canvas, yep, when I very first get a canvas, I do a coat of gesso, I sand it. I do another coat of gesso, I sand it, and then sometimes a third coat. I like a really, really, really smooth canvas. I like the paint to flow across it easier. Some people like a more rough canvas. They want the paint to grab on to the canvas fibers and to have a more like painterly kind of chunky impasto look. That's
Mhm.
fine, personal preference. But I like mine to be pretty smooth. So I'll do 2 or 3 coats of gesso and sand it.
Mhm.
Then I sketch after I get those 2 or 3 coats done. So I do
Mhm.
my sketch, then the workable fixative, then the clear gesso. So I've
Mhm.
got 2, 3, 4 coats of something on the canvas before I ever put paint on it.
Mhm.
But any a charcoal pencil is going to go on a little easier than a standard like graphite mechanical pencil. You're going to be able to
Mhm.
see it a lot better. But
Mhm.
if you need to erase, the charcoal pencil is much harder to make it go away. But any like I use a big chunky white eraser, you're not going to hurt it. Once you've got all the gesso on there, and if you need to erase, you're not going to hurt it. It's fine.
So you're gonna, when you do all the prep and everything
Mhm.
else, then you can just sort of treat it like a piece of paper at that point.
Yes, then your canvas is protected because if I've got
Ah,
2, 3 coats of gesso on here and
okay.
I'm working with a mechanical pencil, which is a great deal sharper,
Yeah.
if my pencil lead breaks into it, it's fine. It canvas knows no different. I'm not hurting it whatsoever.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's
I'm
good
not
to
going to poke
know.
a hole through it or anything. Yeah.
Good to know. Okay.
Hmm.
So there was another question. We're going to answer like maybe two more questions and then we're going to go. And I'm going to refer you guys for all of the other questions. I'm going to refer you to Bethany's YouTube channel. She's uploading all sorts of tutorials about, we've got brush care, she's got prepping canvases, she's got swatching your paints, and she's got so much stuff going on. And everybody that's saying that they want Scott to feel better, thank you so much for that. We really appreciate that. And I know he's feeling all of your good vibes. Um, if you're going to use oil paint over a
Hmm.
sketch layer on a canvas, what
Hmm.
medium do you recommend using for the sketch? Like what type and brand?
I typically well, as far as the sketch, I'm just using literally any pencil. And then once it's sealed, whatever your medium, if you're sketching that, yeah. And if you're doing acrylic, same thing. Once
Mhm.
you're sketched and it's sealed, you're good to go.
Okay.
Um, really, anything is fine there.
Okay. All right. Can gouache go on top of acrylic?
No, I mean it can, but it's not going to stay there.
I think
Um,
people are asking, I've seen a lot of questions about layering different mediums,
mhm.
and I don't think it works that way. I think you can layer like, I don't
So
even know.
oil can go essentially on top of anything, but
Mhm.
nothing can go on top of oil.
Okay.
So if you want
Okay.
to do, I sometimes I'll do this, especially if I need to work super fast. I don't prefer to do it, but I can. If I go like, okay, I've got this commission and it is a rush job and I need
Mhm.
to churn it out fast. I'll do my first layer, especially if I've got big chunks of color. If I got a sky or I've got a big chunk of grass or
Mhm.
whatever, throw a layer of acrylic on there for that first big, chunk of grass or sky or
Mhm.
whatever it is. Then I go back in with the oils on top of that. Oil can
Oh,
always go on top of acrylic.
okay.
Not my preference, but you absolutely can. It's safe. Um, so you can do that. If you paint oil, nothing else can go on top of that. The oil may be dry and it'd be like, oh, it's dry, it's fine. And you
Mhm.
put acrylic on top of it. It may look okay for a bit.
Okay.
And then eventually that acrylic is going to peel right off and
Okay.
fall off the canvas.
So then let me ask you this question. So
Mhm.
you can do acrylics with oils, but things like a gouache or things like a watercolor, because those are like water based, if you try to put oils on top of that, it's going to lift that up because that is a water based product.
Yeah, I mean, something like gouache and watercolor, there's kind of no point because it's going to totally disappear. Um,
Ah, okay.
it's going to
So there's
be
basically no point in it.
there's no point in it, and
Okay.
because the gouache and watercolor are water activated, they're moisture activated. It doesn't matter what the liquid
Gotcha.
is,
Okay.
they're moisture
Okay.
activated. So you're going to be picking that pigment back up in your oil,
Okay.
which could mess with your colors. I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay. All right, guys.
Yeah.
So
And those are
it's
typically on paper and these are on canvas.
okay. So it's
Yeah.
10:30, and thanks for being with us, you guys. And Santa says, I believe we need to see a Donna and Bethany live stream on a regular basis. Cake and crafts. Oh boy. Um,
I'm down.
all right. So I'm gonna say thank you so much to Steph Nerd and High Pacer
Hi, Pacer.
and to Nick CF so much for helping us today and being here with us today and moderating
Mhm.
all of this
Y'all are rock
mess.
stars.
Yeah, and thank you for all of your love for Scott. He's doing so much better. He's just, taking his time and we're giving him the time. And thank you to Bethany for answering all of our oil questions because we
I'm
have had
happy to.
so many oil questions over the last couple years and you are so great and I appreciate you taking the time, especially because I know it's early for both of us to be in makeup and
To
lipstick
have a
and all
face
the
on.
things. So
Yeah.
thank you for being here, and we will you two be back on Monday. The theory is that there will be something on Monday. We don't know what that is yet.
Yeah.
We're going to kind of go roll the dice and see what comes up on Monday, and we'll make it work.
There will be some combination of us.
Some combination of something. Yeah. And so Scott will be posting hopefully videos. He's been trying to do some videos and things like that, and sort of things that are behind the scenes that are easier for him to do right now. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here with us. We greatly appreciate you. Yeah, we love you guys, and thanks for taking
If y'all
the time.
have any more oil questions like I've got, or painting questions in general, I've got the Post-it note board over here of all of the videos I'm either actively working on or ideas of. Not limited to this. Whatever you have a question on, just leave me a comment. I'm happy to add it to the Post-it note mess over here and make a video on it.
And go and follow Bethany's YouTube channel. And if you really want the oil content, Bethany's posting stuff there every week. She's updating. She's got brush care and canvas prep and all sorts of things about oils. And you'll be able to get all your content about oils from her there. And so that's really, if you've got questions like that, that's really what where you're want to go. So, and
paint and cats.
Yeah, and lots of cats. Lots of cats. All right, guys. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you all.
Thanks for being here with me, sweetie.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.